Can you even read? The words hit like a slap across the hushed dining hall of the St. Regis in New York. Faisal Al-Mansouri, an Arab millionaire in a tailored white thobe and silk vest, lounged in his chair with one polished shoe blocking the aisle as if the restaurant belonged to him. He jabbed the leather-bound menu at the black server who stood steady at his table. A ripple of unease spread, diners froze mid-bite, some lowering their eyes, others pretending not to hear. The insult hung in the air, sour and heavy. Amara Lewis tightened her grip on the notepad she didn't need, her chest rising against the weight of humiliation. A man across the room cleared his throat but said nothing. The silence was suffocating, as though the chandeliers themselves leaned down to watch. Faisal's companions chuckled, one muttering, "She probably can't spell her own name." The laughter was sharp, rehearsed, meant to make her disappear into the floor. But Amara lifted her gaze, her eyes steady, her voice cutting through the quiet. "I can read. I can write. In 10 different languages." The words landed with the snap of a verdict. For a breath, the room shifted, diners turning, whispers rising, disbelief sparking. Faisal's smile faltered, the arrogance in his eyes cracking just enough to show surprise. He had expected shame. Instead, he had awakened something stronger than his wealth, dignity sharpened by knowledge. The maitre d' shifted uneasily, his bow tie suddenly too tight. He leaned close, whispering, "Amara, don't make this worse. Just smile and walk away." But she didn't move. Her hand pressed against the tray, her pulse steadying. Across the table, Faisal reclined deeper into his seat, crossing his arms as if he owned not just the restaurant but every voice in it. His companions smirked, eager for more humiliation to entertain their dinner. 10 languages, he scoffed, his words sharp and rhythmic. "Prove it." He shoved the wine list across the table. "French. Italian. Mandarin. Read them out loud." The golden letters gleamed under the chandeliers, daring her to falter. A hush fell, so complete that the clinking of ice in a nearby glass sounded like thunder. Amara inhaled, then began. French rolled effortlessly off her tongue, soft vowels curving through the air. Without pause she slipped into Italian, warm and lyrical, then into Mandarin, precise and calm. Gasps rippled through the crowd, guests leaned forward, caught in the spell of her voice. For the first time, the laughter at Faisal's table stuttered. His smirk wavered, but pride locked him silent. Finally, she lowered the menu and spoke evenly, "Languages open doors. Mockery closes them. Which do you prefer to be remembered for?" The words cut deeper than volume ever could. A man at a nearby table dropped his fork with a deliberate clink, the sound echoing like judgment. The room was no longer his theater, it was hers. Faisal slammed his palm on the table, crystal glasses trembling. "Enough of your circus act." His voice boomed, desperate to claw back control. His entourage forced uneasy laughter, but their eyes betrayed the shift, they no longer found him untouchable. The maitre d' tried to intervene, "Sir, please," only to be silenced by Faisal's glare. Amara didn't flinch. She placed the menu gently back on the table, her movements deliberate, like a lawyer submitting evidence. "You asked if I could read," she said firmly. "Tonight, I am the certified interpreter for your own business negotiations." Gasps erupted. Heads turned toward the corner booth where a city official and 2 investors were waiting, their faces frozen in shock. The same investors Faisal had hoped to impress. The silence after her words was unbearable, like the pause before a jury delivers its verdict. Faisal's throat tightened. He had mocked her, only to learn she held the very voice he needed most. "You're lying," he barked, but the tremor in his tone betrayed him. The city official rose, speaking calmly, "She is indeed the interpreter we requested." The revelation rippled like an earthquake through the restaurant. Guests whispered furiously, phones discreetly filmed. Faisal's power cracked in front of everyone. His insult, recorded and witnessed, no longer floated as private cruelty, it became public evidence. The man who thought himself untouchable now sat exposed, cornered by the very words he had dismissed. Faisal's jaw tightened as murmurs spread through the dining room. His confidence crumbled, but anger rushed in to cover the cracks. "This is slander," he hissed, slamming his fist into the linen tablecloth. "Do you know who I am? I could buy this entire street." His voice strained, louder than he intended, echoing off marble walls. Phones lifted discreetly, guests capturing every word. Amara didn't raise her tone. She simply stood straighter, her eyes unblinking. "Yes, you can buy streets. But respect? That's earned, not purchased." The weight of her words hung heavier than his threats. For a beat, the millionaire had no reply. His entourage shifted uneasily, glancing toward the investors who were now whispering with the city official. Then came the final blow. The official cleared his throat, speaking for all to hear. "Given what we've witnessed, tonight's negotiations are suspended. We cannot proceed with a partner who disrespects those working under this very roof." A collective gasp spread through the room. Faisal's power dissolved in the silence, the contract slipping from his grasp before he could sign a single page. He tried to laugh, tried to dismiss it as a misunderstanding, but no one laughed with him. The authority in the room had shifted. What was once his stage had become his trial, and the crowd had already chosen their verdict. The restaurant exhaled as though a storm had passed. Faisal sat deflated, his wealth powerless against the truth now circling the room. Amara placed her tray down gently, her posture firm, her face calm. "Words can wound," she said softly, though every ear caught it. "But they can also heal. Tonight, they've done both." Guests who moments earlier had looked away now nodded, some even applauding quietly. The city official approached her with respect. "Miss Lewis, your professionalism speaks louder than any insult. We'd be honored if you joined us tomorrow to continue discussions." Her lips curved in a small smile, but her eyes betrayed the weight she carried. This wasn't just about contracts or languages, it was about dignity reclaimed. As Faisal was escorted out under the glare of cameras, his empire suddenly looked fragile. Amara remained, no longer invisible, but not triumphant in vanity either. She stood as proof that education and resilience can strip arrogance of its mask. Later, when she walked home beneath the city lights, her phone buzzed with messages from strangers who had witnessed everything online. "Thank you," one read. "You spoke for all of us who've been told we don't belong."